Welcome to our podcast, where we explore fascinating stories and ideas from various fields. In this episode, we explore if a mysterious object, warned by Harvard scientists, signals an alien attack this November. Scientists have warned that a mysterious space object the size of Manhattan is hurtling towards the Earth, and the danger it poses isn't what you're thinking. According to a new study, the space object may be an alien spacecraft that can attack our planet, possibly in November 2025. The object 3I Atlas, as per researchers, may be an alien technology that could launch a surprise attack on our planet. Behind the warning, as one of the authors, is Avi Loeb, a prominent Harvard astrophysicist known for his contribution to the research on aliens, his contributions to the search for life out there, and for his controversial conspiracy theories, including one that posed that the 2017 interstellar object Oumuamua might be an artificial probe created by an alien civilization. As per the study, which is yet to be peer-reviewed, the object's orbit would make it easier for the object to approach Earth without being noticed. The team of scientists, Harvard researcher Avi Loeb, Adam Hibbard, and Adam Kroll from the Initiative for Interstellar Studies in London, postulate that the object will get closest to the Sun in late November. They say that at its closest, the object would be hidden from Earth's view, which means that it could carry out a secret high-speed maneuver. The object was first spotted by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System Survey Telescope at Rio Hurtado, Chile. At 10 to 20 kilometers wide, the object is moving towards our planet at the speed of over 60 kilometers per second. As per the study authors, the paper is clearly from a hypothetical point of view and not something they necessarily think would happen. They wrote, "This paper is contingent on a remarkable but, as we shall show, testable hypothesis, to which the authors do not necessarily ascribe, yet is certainly worthy of an analysis and a report." However, they also warn that if it were to come true, it would be dire. The consequences, should the hypothesis turn out to be correct, could potentially be dire for humanity and would possibly require defensive measures to be undertaken. Thanks for tuning into this incredible story.
Disturbed by, so you sat next to a Pentagon scientist, well-respected Pentagon scientist, who is telling you to your face that there are 4 classifications of aliens. He's either seen them or has had contact. You've had private conversations with individuals who've confirmed the same thing as a member of Congress. And then YouTube puts up a disclaimer under that hearing's video. So I just want to put this. And this, I think, speaks to how they try to downplay this stuff, and whether it's deep state actors or whomever is involved, the CIA, and they put this little disclaimer underneath videos where you're not allowed to tell the truth. And it says reptilian humanoid, Wikipedia. Reptilian humanoids, also known as reptiloids, they're from mythology.
Shalom, even all praises on the glory to our power Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Archak Kodash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, Shalom, Yahshua, Shalom. All right, just another world news with commentary. There's just a couple, and there's actually quite a few, decent little videos here. And I just wanted to quickly comment on a couple of them. The first set being these first 2 that I played here, and we talked about this the other day, because Esau is he's trying to get further ahead, and I say further ahead because he's already put out the lies about aliens. People believe they're aliens, all types of movies, aliens this, aliens that, Mars attacks, big-headed aliens with bubbles on their head, all this kind of things of that nature. And so there's so much UFO, so-called UFO information, and sightings, and different phenomena in the sky. Okay, and he can't lie away all of them. He can do his best, but he can't lie away everything that people actually seen with their own eyes or their cameras or whatever. And so what he's done is he's created a universal lie that'll cover the whole entire event. And so with so much constantly, people are constantly going to this topic here. I believe even Trump talked about it, but he's claiming, "Oh, I'm not so into the UFO talk and stuff like that." Like it's just another way to downplay. I'm not going to go into that topic, basically, okay? Because I don't know the levels, because I'm not obviously part of the stuff, okay? But I'm pretty sure to a certain level, when it comes to the government and things of that nature, some people know what's going on. Maybe some people don't. However the case may play out. But he's trying to, as we mentioned, in our other video, he's trying to control the narrative, right? He's trying to jump ahead of this thing, which he's been ahead of this thing. He has everybody fooled into thinking there's little aliens coming to take over the earth. But those who are in the truth understand that these are the angels, okay? Messengers, our brothers of the heavenly realm. And when we see these sightings, okay, we know exactly what they are. Zechariah 5:1 says, "Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll, a flying roll." And this is a chariot, okay? It just looked like a cylinder shape, which, there have been talks about them spotting, they'll call it a cigar shaped, whatever, okay? But, I mean, does it not fit? Cigar shaped UFO, flying roll. What is a roll? Roll, scroll, whatever you want to call it. In ancient times, you write on your papyrus or whatever and roll it up, okay? And it would be shaped like a cylinder. And that's the roll. That's the scroll. So he says he saw a flying roll. So why is he describing a flying roll? It's because he couldn't say I saw a flying saucer or I saw whatever, modern day terminology that we can use and explain it. This was the ancient times. That's words that didn't even exist in their time that we are using now. So the thing that could describe the best of what he saw was saying that, hey, I saw a flying roll. Okay. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof was 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. And the angels that go in and out to and fro, some of those angels are sent out for reconnaissance missions, which is why you see them so often. Okay. So it says, for everyone that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side, according to it. And that's definitely a number one for Esau, because he's stolen the whole people from the land. Okay. And we're still in his hands. When the Lord returns, we're going to still be found in his hands. And it's in the scriptures talk about that in the law. He that be found with the man in his hands shall be surely put to death. Because there's a difference between having a servant, okay, who's a slave, and just having a person that you stole away, all right, on your own accord and made your servant or your slave. So it says, he that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. Okay. So I just want to hit that point real quick. Try to make it short as possible, because I know there's like 17, 18 clips here I have. Which not saying they're all long, but but yeah, so they're trying to tell you, Mars, aliens attack, all that mess. Okay, little green men, gray men, reptilians, and you have people that deeply believe in this. Okay, and David Icke was a heavy pusher with the reptilian thing. Now, who will say, when you look at some of these Edomites, damn, they do look like reptiles, but there's no such thing as reptilians. Some of them do look like lizards, but it's not true. Okay, regardless of how close of a lizard they look like. Reptilians are not a race according to the Bible. They don't exist. It's just made up. Okay. They made up a whole book. I speak about this all the time. They made up a whole book of so-called alien species and then made up stories to substantiate the book. But that's how far Esau is willing to go to create a lie to hide the truth, which deceives the people. Okay. So yeah, we understand what's going on. Esau is slowly he's losing his marbles, man. And the scriptures say the devil's going to come out with great wrath. Okay, but he's slowly losing his marbles, and this UFO thing is heavy on him because he knows that the chariots are there to come against his rulership and his kingdom. And ultimately, when Yahushua comes, they're going to come back with him and throw them out of power. Right?
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Beyond World is One. My name is Diksha Bisla. Let's start with the headlines. Gaza's health ministry says Israeli airstrike hit southern Gaza's main hospital, killing at least 8 people. The ministry said the 4th floor of Nasser Hospital was hit in a double-tap strike, one missile hitting first, then another moments later as rescue crews arrived. Nuclear talks scheduled for Tuesday between Iran and Britain, France and Germany will be held in Geneva, confirms Iranian state media. A new round of talks will take place at the level of deputy foreign ministers. Syria's Shara confirms advanced talks with Israel on security deals, says he won't hesitate to take any agreement that benefits Syria and the region.
The president has applied aggressive economic leverage, for example, the secondary tariffs on India, to try to make it harder for the Russians to get rich from their oil economy.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance says President Donald Trump applied aggressive economic leverage, including secondary tariffs on India, to force Russia to stop bombing Ukraine. U.S. health authorities have suspended the license of Ixchiq vaccine against the chikungunya virus. Reports of side effects have prompted reviews, in particular over its use in older patients. Vietnam evacuates tens of thousands of residents from coastal areas on Monday ahead of the arrival of Typhoon Kajiki, which is expected to lash the country's central belt with gales of around 140 kilometers per hour.
Hey guys, Dabu7. You may recall me reporting on the squirrels out of Colorado that had these crazy growths coming off of them. And they were saying that a virus was responsible, of which they had not seen the likes of what we're seeing now before. Well, it seems to have spread or be spreading. And this is all across the country at this point. And it's all kinds of animals. It's not like it's affecting just one or two. There's a lot of different species involved here. The squirrels, when I reported on that, at the time, no one was saying anything in their neck of the woods about the deer, like up in Pennsylvania. But now out of New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, these areas are reporting deer that have these growths on them. We're also seeing reports out of Pennsylvania. And you can see here it's not just deer. It's rabbits. It's squirrels. It's everything. It's every animal out there can apparently pick this up. And it's getting out of control. It's said to be very rare, but I was wondering, are you seeing it in your neck of the woods? Coming up on hunting season and everything else, this is pretty curious. I'd like to see what people are seeing out there. If you notice anything, if you can get any images, let me know if you're seeing it in your area. Let me know what area, and try to keep track of this stuff on where people are spotting it. But pretty crazy. Mutant animals pretty much all over the place, popping up with these lumps and deformations on them. So again, if you guys see anything like this, let me know in the comment section.
Flames are tearing through northern California's wine country, scorching thousands of acres in blistering heat. The so-called picket fire is now 13% contained as crews fight it from the ground and the air. CAL FIRE says the blaze has charred more than 6,800 acres in Napa County. It's burning through remote, rugged terrain, making the firefight especially difficult. Mandatory evacuations are in place across 9 residential zones with more than 600 buildings under threat. Officials are warning people in Napa, Sonoma, and Solano counties to stay indoors if they have heart or breathing problems because of the smoke and poor air quality. The fire erupted last Thursday, and the cause is still under investigation. California Governor Gavin Newsom says the state deployed more than 1,200 firefighters, 140 engines, 34 bulldozers, and aerial resources to battle the flames. In a post on X, he called the response heroic. Heat alerts remained in effect over the weekend for more than 30 million people, stretching from Los Angeles and Las Vegas to Phoenix, Portland, and Seattle. CAL FIRE warns warm, dry conditions will persist, raising the risk of further spread. Elsewhere, the Flat Fire in Central Oregon has already burned about 22,000 acres with zero containment. Firefighters are hoping temperatures ease by midweek.
Spain has just endured what its national weather agency is calling the most intense heatwave on record. The 16-day scorcher this month shattered temperature records, fueled deadly wildfires, and claimed hundreds of lives across the Iberian Peninsula. And according to Spain's National Meteorological Agency, AEMET, the heatwave between August 3rd and 18th saw average temperatures spike 4.6 degrees Celsius above normal, surpassing the previous record set in July 2022. A 10-day stretch from August 8th to the 17th was confirmed as the hottest 10 consecutive days ever recorded in Spain since data collection began in 1950. The relentless heat worsened wildfire conditions, especially in Spain's northern and western regions, where flames have scorched over 350,000 hectares in recent weeks and more than 400,000 hectares since the start of the year. Thousands were forced to flee their homes and 4 people have died in the fires. Spain has received firefighting support from 9 European nations. Neighboring Portugal is also battling massive wildfires. More than 60,000 hectares have been burned this month alone. Authorities confirmed a 4th fatality on Saturday. A firefighter was critically injured last week. Spain's Carlos III Health Institute estimates over 1,100 deaths linked to this August heatwave, in addition to 1,060 excess deaths in July. This is a staggering 50% increase from the same month last year. AEMET warns that climate change is making summers hotter, longer, and more dangerous. Since 2019, 5 of Spain's 6 most extreme heat waves on record have occurred. Scientists say what we are seeing now is part of a clear, intensifying trend, and adapting to it is no longer optional. The skies over West Asia are on fire as a new and deadly chapter in an escalating conflict unfolds. Following a barrage of sophisticated Houthi missiles, Israel has launched a punishing retaliatory strike on Yemen, a blow that has left 6 dead and 86 others injured. A new kind of missile technology, once an Iranian secret, is now being unleashed in a terrifying new front. Here's a report.
The opening shot came from Yemen. A Houthi missile climbed, then split many heads from one body. Houthis for the first time used a missile with MIRV territory. Multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles riding a single booster. Israeli reply was immediate and punishing. Jets tore across the Red Sea and hit Houthi positions in Yemen.
The Air Force again attacked strategic targets in Yemen today. It attacked the presidential palace in the heart of the capital, Sana'a, the city's power plant, and the fuel tanks that supply it. The Houthi terrorist regime is learning the hard way that it will pay, and is paying a very heavy price for its aggression against the state of Israel.
Houthis have been firing ballistic missiles on Israel. Almost all of them have been successfully intercepted in air before they could hit the target. But this time it was different. One missile, many warheads. Israeli missile shields, Iron Dome, David's Sling, Arrow are brilliant at picking off singular threats. Even small salvos, but MIRVs fracture in the sky. Each re-entry vehicle can maneuver, dive, and detour. Some carry explosives, others may carry decoys. This makes it very difficult for even the most advanced missile defense shields to intercept them. Tehran's shadow is unmistakable. Iran has spent years perfecting multi-warhead missiles. It showcased long-range missile prowess during that furious 12-day confrontation with Israel. For now, the Houthis, who have the backing of Tehran, have signaled that their arsenal isn't just bigger, it is smarter. Israel has signaled that any such leap will be met with steel. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Eight more people in Gaza have died from famine and malnutrition, Gaza health authorities said on Sunday. That brings the total number of hunger-related deaths in the enclave since the start of the war with Israel 22 months ago to 289, including 115 children. More than 500,000 people in Gaza are facing famine conditions, according to the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC. A report released on Friday found that famine is already occurring in Gaza City and could spread south by the end of next month. It's the first time that IPC has confirmed a famine in the Middle East. Aid groups have long warned that the war and months of Israeli restrictions on food and medical supplies entering Gaza are causing starvation. Israel has rejected the IPC report, calling it an outright lie.
This chain is to remember that there are still hostages kept in the Hamas tunnels. On the upper part, it says in Hebrew, our heart is kidnapped in Gaza, and on the lower part, it says in English, bring them home now.
Michael doesn't want to be identified in this report. He is Jewish and has roots in Ukraine and Israel. He has been living in Berlin for 5 years. On subway line 8, a man recognized his necklace. He insulted him in Arabic, English and German and physically harassed him.
He shouted free Gaza, free Palestine, children murder, women murder, all the propaganda that Hamas shows the world.
Vandalism, graffiti and stars of David painted as swastikas have been appearing on walls in addition to verbal abuse, insults and violence against people perceived to be Jewish or Israeli. Jewish business owners say their premises have been targeted. Furthermore, supporters of the hostages held by Hamas say they are rarely dare to assemble publicly to show solidarity.
In any case, as a Jew, you try to be as invisible as possible so that you're not recognizable as a Jew in public.
Synagogues and other Jewish or Israeli institutions like schools, kindergartens, retirement homes and a coffee shop are under constant police protection. Nearly 200 premises are now given protection, up from 150 at the end of October 2023. The police estimate that the number of perpetrators of anti-Semitic incidents coming from the extreme left and the pro-Palestinian scene has risen significantly. Anti-Semitism from the far right remains a problem, police representatives told DW, but it is not growing as fast.
We no longer see the bulk of perpetrators coming from the Nazi scene. It's not right-wing extremists gaining the most momentum here. Instead, we see imported anti-Semitism, including a multitude of foreign ideologies and other religious phenomena. And this is not only on the street, but also on social media, where this behavior is being incited.
Imported anti-Semitism is a controversial term in Germany because it's also used by far-right groups to stigmatize immigrants. Where do victims like Michael turn for help? Not every incident is prosecuted by the police. In Berlin, there's the OFEC Counseling Center, which means Horizon in Hebrew. OFEC advisors warn that Jews are often held collectively responsible for the Israeli government's actions, giving latent anti-Semitism a new outlet.
It is personally very important to me that people listen and also understand that solidarity with Jewish people does not mean a lack of solidarity with Palestinians. that both can exist at the same time. And that there is absolutely no reason to kill Jews, to harm them, to attack them physically or psychologically anywhere in the world, just because there is a war in the Middle East.
For Michael, the anti-Semitic incident has had lasting consequences.
My thoughts usually are that I need to check, look around, see who are the people in the station, if there is a need for me to hide the necklace, be more careful, and not to have some kind of escalated situation. A little bit stressful.
Here it is. That's what they use what's called the law of return. Here's better explanation from CBS.
Now, one of those suspects, his name is Gershon Kranzer, was returned to New York City just yesterday to face the charges after more than a decade in Israel. He is accused of molesting 2 female relatives. One of them was just 6 years old at the time. Ian Lee has investigated these cases for years, and his reporting has had a major impact. He joins us now from London with more on this story. Ian, good morning to you.
All right, so as we just saw in that clip, which I believe is old, or well, maybe the clip is new, but whatever he had on the screen, I think it was old. I think it said something like 2020, if I'm correct. But he's speaking about this law of return here, and it's not a new topic. It's no different from the rats that came crawling out of the sewer when they were found underground digging a tunnel. All kinds of baby stuff, and this, all kinds of just nastiness and filth. And when these things happen to these propeller hats, okay. Things, get swept under the table. You might hear about it, you might not, but even if you do hear about it, they get swept under the table as if they didn't happen. But a nigga like Diddy, okay, he was a spotlight, he was #1, okay, Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, so on and so forth. And I'm not advocating for any of them. I'm just making a point between how they'll showcase an Israelite, okay, versus one of their own. Even Epstein wasn't an Israelite, but look what happened to Epstein. Okay, everything just kind of disappeared. Oh, he killed himself. Okay. Oh, we're going to release the files. Then we're not going to release the files. Oh, we're going to release the files. Then we're not going to release the files. Oh, now I'm saying that, in Epstein files, Epstein or whoever spoke very highly of President Trump. Like, stop the nonsense. They're just playing with the people's minds and their emotions. But anyways, the law of return is an Israeli law that grants Jews, which when it says Jews, it's talking about the fake Jews, which are the Amalekites that you may know as Israelis today, individuals with at least one Jewish grandparent and their spouses the right to immigrate to Israel and acquire Israeli citizenship. And I believe I read this before, and it mentions something about a mother, which goes to show you it's got nothing to do, their whole structure has nothing to do with them. They have a matriarchy. Your mother doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what race that your mother is, the nationality your mother is. The seed is according to the father, okay? But I do remember reading that somewhere because I think I pulled this up yesterday. It says, and their spouses the right to immigrate to Israel and acquire Israeli citizenship. This law passes on July 5th, 1950, embodies the Zionist aim of establishing Israel as a Jewish state and a haven for the Jewish people worldwide. And that's the key thing right there, a haven for the Jewish people worldwide, because these people can run back to their country and just, be the degenerates that they are, okay? They got gay parades and stuff like that. So those people are weirdo. They can go and seek sanctuary back, so-called home, because it's not home. It's actually in our lands. And the scriptures say that the enemy has said against you, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Now, wait a minute. Well, who's in the lands now? Because if they're the true people, then that scripture shouldn't be there, right? It's because they're not the true people. They're the enemy that have taken our land and parted our lands, okay? And several nations, line on the areas that belong to us. The law declares that every Jew has the right to come to this country as an ole or immigrant. While originally applying only to Jews, the law was amended in 1970 to extend eligibility to the children and grandchildren of Jews, as well as their spouses, regardless of whether they are considered Jewish Orthodox interpretations of Jewish law. This amendment aimed to keep families together and recognize the broader scope of Jewish identity, partly influenced by the Nuremberg Law's definition of Jewishness for persecution. Upon arrival in Israel under the law of return, individuals receive a certificate confirming their Ole or immigration status and are immediately entitled to Israeli citizenship, though they have 3 months to decide if they wish to become citizens. However, the right to an Ole certificate can be denied if the person is engaged in anti-Semitic activity, like whatever, poses a hazard to public health or security, or has a serious criminal past. And then all these people have a criminal past, okay? It was in a video, I think it said there were family members and one of them was like 6 years old. Well, that's not nothing new, because according to the things that they follow, okay, we're going off when we speak about the ancient times, about a girl passing a flower over her age, being able to be married off to a husband and so on and so forth. But these people are going to take little 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, babies and stuff like that. And you think these people are holy into God's people, okay? It says notable cases of denial have included individuals with serious criminal records or those deemed a security risk. The law of return has been a subject of ongoing debate and controversy, particularly regarding the definition of who is a Jew. Well, it ain't you, okay? And claimed, what does Scripture say? The earth has been given into the hands of the wicked, and he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where? Who is he? Well, who done it? We know who done it, because he done it. Okay? The spirit of power of Shemashah has been revealed. All right? That wicked shall be revealed in his time. Who was a Jew and claims of discrimination from Palestinian refugees. Despite these debates, it remains a cornerstone of Israel's identity as a Jewish state and its immigration policy. So they kind of explained it, but I guess they did explain it, but it doesn't go as deep. And even that clip that was played, if you notice, it was cut off for some reason, and didn't really get into the nitty gritty. It was just more so. But I just want to, read up on actually what it was, okay? And so I guess he's saying that they're using that to their advantage when they do, wicked, detestable things like that. They use the law of return as a way to, skirt away from the issue, and then end up back in their so-called homeland, because it ain't no homeland. All right, but we'll just move on.
The United States is once again stopping Ukraine from attacking Russia with certain weapons. In President Donald Trump's own words, it is very hard, if not impossible, to win a war without attacking an invader's country. Reporters at the Wall Street Journal broke the story. According to the outlet, the U.S. implemented new approval procedures in the spring for when Ukraine wanted to use the Army's tactical missiles, or ATACMS, to hit targets deep behind the front lines in Russian territory. The new rules for ATACMS use in Ukraine effectively reversed former President Joe Biden's decision, which came late in his presidency, to allow Ukraine to use ATACMS missiles on Russian targets deep behind enemy lines. The ATACMS missile has a published range of around 190 miles. The new approval process was put in place by Elbridge Colby, the Pentagon's Undersecretary for Policy, and essentially gives the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, final say about Ukraine's use of ATACMS. Now, the last batch of ATACMS approved during Biden's tenure was delivered to Ukraine this spring. We don't really know how many ATACMS Ukraine has left, but it's thought to be a pretty small supply. However, the Pentagon's new deep strike approval process also applies to European-supplied weaponry that relies on U.S. satellite intelligence for targeting, things like Storm Shadow missiles. Just last week, President Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social account about Ukraine not being able to win without attacking Russia, and he criticized President Biden for only ever allowing Ukraine to defend itself, not fight back. Some administration officials are trying to clarify that statement now, saying it does not mean the United States is going to change the new deep strike approval process, but leaving the door open for President Trump to change or amend the process if he so decides. Like we said earlier, This is not the first time the U.S. put restrictions on Ukraine using American-made weapons in general, or even ATACMS specifically. The war was raging for about a year and a half before Biden approved sending ATACMS to Ukraine, and it was even longer before Ukraine was allowed to use the long-range variants of the missiles. While U.S. systems are certainly among the most powerful in Ukraine's arsenal, they are not the only long-range strike options. Ukraine is experiencing quite a bit of success with some slower-moving fixed-wing drones. There are plenty of Russian oil facilities that can attest to that. Ukraine is also ramping up production of the FP-1, Kyiv's version of the Iranian-designed Shahed one-way attack drones. Both of those options are slower-moving, though, and are somewhat limited in terms of payload. The newly announced Flamingo long-range cruise missile does not have either of those problems. It was domestically developed by Ukrainian-based startup Firepoint in about 9 months. The Flamingo weighs 6 tons at takeoff. During some recent test launches, it proved it can carry a 2,500-pound warhead and hit targets at around 1,800 miles away. The Flamingo is in serial production now, with Firepoint eventually aiming to put out about 200 or so a month. Munitions which can hit hardened targets in Russia without the need for U.S. coordination or approval.
More interesting. We'll arrange a meeting between you and Kim Jong-un. Would you like that? That's a very tough question right now. I don't know where that question is leading. Anyway, look, I get along great with Kim Jong-un, and if whatever I can do having to do with South Korea and getting people together, you should get together, right?
Parents who need to make adjustments are going to be making adjustments. And that's a sad thing to say. Schools should be safe places. We know that our schools are the safest places for our students. We invest a lot in their learning, and if they're not at school, they can't take advantage of that learning. I would just call on everybody to leave our kids alone, let them get a great start to their school day and school year. And I think that any attempt to target children is heartless, is mean, it's uncalled for, and it only hurts us.
More on all those stories ahead, but first, another disturbing attack on ICE officers. A mob assaulting 4 agents in San Francisco, even threatening their families. Christina Coleman is live in Los Angeles with more on this. Christina.
John, dozens of protesters rallied outside of San Francisco's federal court building waiting for the release of a person who DHS identified as Adrian Guerrero, a U.S. citizen who federal officials say assaulted ICE officers and threatened law enforcement by saying, quote, "I'm going to go after your family and I'm going to stab you." Guerrero, who identifies as a woman and goes by the name Angie, was charged with assault and destruction of federal property after allegedly slashing the tire of a government vehicle. DHS says it happened on Wednesday when a group of about 15 to 20 violent anti-ICE rioters in San Francisco assaulted, grabbed, punched, and pepper sprayed ICE agents who were conducting targeted immigration enforcement in San Francisco, in that city. DHS says they surrounded and assaulted 4 federal agents. DHS says, quote, "While standing at arm's length from an officer, Guerrero made repeated threats stating, quote, "I'm going to F you up. I'm going to go after your family and I'm going to stab you." DHS says Guerrero was also in possession of a black knife and patterned headscarf during this incident. Guerrero was later granted bail and surrounded by supporters after being released and had this to say about the situation.
"I'm good, despite the brutality and repression that the federal government is placing on this city, my city, the city I was born in."
The attack on law enforcement in San Francisco is yet another example of violence against immigration agents. DHS says ICE law enforcement are now facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them as they risk their lives to arrest the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens. Despite all the violence, immigration officials continue to carry out their operations in various cities nationwide.
We're making Los Angeles and California a safer place. We're going to continue to do that, and they can take that one to the bank and cash it.
And as for that attack on ICE agents in San Francisco last week and those allegedly involved, Guerrero now faces a maximum penalty of 1 year in prison and a fine of up to $100,000. John?
I'm surprised the maximum isn't even higher. Christina Coleman.
There is no emergency in Chicago that calls for armed military intervention. And ask if they want their neighborhoods turned into a war zone by a wannabe dictator. No one from the White House or the executive branch has reached out to me or to the mayor. No one has reached out to our staffs. No effort has been made to coordinate or to ask for our assistance in identifying any actions that might be helpful to us. Local law enforcement has not been contacted. We have made no requests for federal intervention. None. Donald Trump wants to use the military to occupy a U.S. city, punish his dissidents, and score political points. Earlier today in the Oval Office, Donald Trump looked at the assembled cameras and asked for me personally to say, "Mr. President, can you do us the honor of protecting our city?" Instead, I say, "Mr. President, do not come to Chicago. If you hurt my people, nothing will stop me, not time or political circumstance, from making sure that you face justice under our constitutional rule of law." As Dr. King once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
U.S. President Donald Trump's security crackdown in Washington, D.C., meanwhile, has intensified and is now meeting rising resistance from the people. National Guard troops patrolling the streets now been ordered to carry firearms. Take a look.
Get out of our neighborhood! 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 Coward! Coward!
All right, so this last clip here I'm going to play after this. I wasn't going to get into it, but I want to, because I did listen to it. So, yeah, so he's saying, and we see what he's doing. He's doubling down on, this Make America Great Again stuff, okay? Where it talks about, because you do have people that burn the American flag and stuff like that for whatever reason. Hell, you might even have the ones that they're calling so-called immigrants do it, okay? Anyways, that's not the point. But he's saying you're going to get 1 year in jail with no early release. I can't remember if he said anything about being fined or not. But he's also saying that he's hoping that others use the term, because what he's saying is it incites riots, okay? And hey, for all we know, they could use that as some kind of little, a minor false flag where you have some people, because you know how he does. He sets someone up, okay, like he's the opposition, like he's with whoever, okay, and he can have a group of people come burning American flags, making people riot on one side, rousing up the anger of the other ones who are stuck up in their pride, which is why I'm pulling this verse here. And then there you go, you have people going one at another, because Esau is thinking to get order out of chaos anyway. So and it's that American pride, okay. And I wanted to get this right here. It says, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, which is your mind, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle," we know that's the national mascot, okay? "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, Thence will I bring thee down, said the Lord Yahweh. Okay. But what does verse 2 say? I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. So they're trying to really, only thing Esau is doing right now, he's setting himself up to go out with a blaze. Well, what they not really a blaze of glory, but I'm using the words that they say, right? A blaze of glory, right? Because he's all this building and planning and trying to restructure and we're gonna make it great again, and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna digital. All that is being built up for the final day. Oh, let's get that for the final day of destruction of them, you know, and this place, Babylon the Great. Right here, Malachi 1:4. Let's get 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. And that's what they're doing now today. Okay, all this planning and building and planning and building, you know, ongoing. Thus said the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah of armies of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh hath indignation forever. Okay, because one day this place is going down, and all the things that they do, all the unrighteous decrees that they do, okay, it's not going to be anything. It's just all stacking up for that final judgment and destruction. But that's pretty much all I have for you there. Those few I wanted to speak on briefly. So I'll play that final clip. It's very short, you know, but I'll play that final clip. So Lord, will you edify show?
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. You can, but when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement is
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that.